Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott Mackenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, the number one industrial podcast in the universe that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. Because you're bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you solve problems, and you're making the world a better place. In the hot seat, we have a gentleman by the name of Guneet Bedi, and he is with a company called Arduino. Now, we're going to be talking about Arduino, their line of Arduino Pro, but the reality is that we need solutions. We need clean, clear, digital solutions that everyone can take a part in, and that's what Arduino Pro represents. So let's get cracking with the conversation. Loved the chat, without a doubt. It was great because one of the things that I struggle with every time I have these in my mind, these use cases of saying, okay, this is great. Everybody's talking about this digital transformation journey, but I always get to the point of, well, what's my first step? Who do I talk to? It becomes a human conversation, of course, and I think the technology is the technology. But then you have to ask the question of, well, can I afford it? Is it something that is financially viable, or am I just going to just struggle the whole time because it's so expensive? And am I gleaning and getting the information out of my operation that helps me become more successful in what I do? And I think that the term that Guneet brought up was the democratization of this solution. The other area that he talked about is because I don't have time to waste. I'm always about the compression of time in some way, shape, or form. And he brings up some really interesting points on speed. It's one thing to say yes, but it's another thing to do it in a sense of urgency and begin to reap the benefits of being able to collect that data for your operations. That to me. And then the final point where we're going to have a follow-up conversation, and that is just, it's where do we find the people to do it, right? Where do we find that pool of professionals that can help achieve success and not headaches in this journey? And so he touches upon really a lot of good points, and of course the security side too as well. All right, before we get into the conversation, go out to Industrial Talk. You want to be a part of Industrial Talk? That's where it starts. Just go out there, click, reach out to me. You're good to go. Would love to be able to tell your story. Would love to be able to amplify your message in some way, shape, or form. But just go out to industrialtalk.com. The other thing that you can do while you're there is you can take in these great on-demand webcasts. We have a couple of that are out there. We're going to continue to add to them, and they're on demand. So you can't just make the statement of like, I'm not available at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. No, just go out there and join and listen, write some notes, good to go. Because when I look at all the stuff that's taking place out there in industry, it's really an education game. It's an education game because it's happening. You have to know about it. And why not? And I mean, why not consume content that is specific to you and your success, delivered by people that know a lot of industrial professionals and leaders and trailblazers. It just makes complete sense. And you just keep on adding. Make it a part of your daily routine. All right. Guneet Bedi. Arduino Pro is the company, or Arduino. If you're an engineer, you've heard of Arduino. This is their Pro series. And we cover a lot of topics. One, by the way, it's just like F1. That's always, I'm going to be talking about that all day long. All right, here's Guneet. Guneet, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for finding time in your schedule to talk to the best listeners on Earth. And we're going to be talking a lot about Arduino Pro, listeners. We're going to be talking about collecting that data. We're going to be talking about devices. It's all on the docket for conversation. How are you doing, Guneet?
I am doing well, Scott. Thank you so much for having me. Love being here. I love being in air conditioning when it's super, super freaking hot in Texas. We're here. It was good. And
I got to tell you, man, when the temperature does break, because he's in Austin, I'm in right outside of New Orleans, and when the temperature does break, you have you feel better. It just feels much better. Absolutely. By the way, the listener, he's into F1. I'm into F1. We were having a great conversation offline about F1, and if you need to check out F1, it's cool stuff. Talk about data collection. That's where it's at.
I agree. And I'll tell you the reason I got into it. So, of course, I got into it because of the Netflix series and because of Austin. But
oh, yes.
One of the things I got into is Ferrari uses an Arduino device to do testing on their pits. That's one of the reasons I got into it. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is a technical problem with so much fun. So, yeah, we can talk about F1. We can talk about Arduino.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Well, before we get into that topics of data collection, let's give us a little background on Guneet and where you come from and who you are.
Yeah, you got it, my man. I grew up in a military family in India, moved to the US, spent a bunch of years in Chicago, Silicon Valley, about a decade, and then now in Austin, Texas. And Scott, what I've done is, started my career with the Ciscos and the Oracles of the world, so more heavy enterprise tech, hardware, software. But the last 8 years, I've spent in 3 or 4 startups, really focusing on Internet of Things. And more importantly, how do you enable as a service revenue models? How do you enable recurring revenue and, from the data that you can collect from heavy industrial? So I was the chief revenue officer for a company called Relayer. And Relayer started and then they got acquired. So, I was one of the initial founding team members. Then I also consulted with Falconry. Congratulations to them. They've just got bought by IFS, super cool. And for the last 8 months, I've been at Arduino and really, helping people use the Arduino platform and ecosystem, 40 million plus developers, and use that approach to do industrial and, data collection.
It's insane. Every time when I see something posted by Arduino, there's a gazillion people saying, yes, that's great. And it's just a device. And everybody's like, click on it. Yeah, that's great. They're passionate about their Arduino tools and solutions big time. Now, back into F1. I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, everybody in manufacturing, everybody in the world of industry, and I'll just keep on going up a little bit, everyone in the world of industry is looking for that ability to be able to see into their operations and compress the time as much as possible to be able to take those, whatever that data's saying, and tactically tackle what's happening. And F1 is like real time into that asset all the time, and they're making real-time decisions. Do you find that I think that is sort of the holy grail of manufacturing, to get that complete insight? Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with you, Scott. And I think this is a really good question because this will also give you an insight of why Arduino got into Pro, right? Because absolutely right. It is about real-time data, but it's also about how do you get that real-time data in a cost-effective manner without spending gazillions of dollars. And how do you do that with the talent that you have available, right? And there is a big talent gap. And when Arduino started, actually, I don't know if you know this, but we started in 2008, so almost 16 years ago. And, we built, the whole premise was, how do you make electronics simple? You do not need to read a 12,000-page manual for a microcontroller to go get data from a device, right? How do you make that simple? And, our thing was any student, middle school, high school should be able to do this. Any hobbyist should be do this in less than 5 minutes. The goal was less than 5 minutes. You do a board.
Wow.
Get data, right? But what we found out is, although our business and, our approach was really doing well with hobbyists and education, like every high school kid comes out with an Arduino knowledge today. And, we sold a bunch, but more importantly, we have about 83 million projects done on Arduino, like 83 million.
With an M. Holy cow.
Crazy. It is crazy. I didn't even know that, right? Till 8 months ago.
No.
But what was more interesting, Scott, to answer your fun question was, we found our boards in places they should not have been. Oil wells, oil rigs, Formula One testing, automotive plant floors. And we're like, this is great. This is amazing. And this really shows the power of what data can do if data is really easy to get from any old asset. And we said, the only issue we have today, there are two issues. Issue number one is the boards and the hardware was not enterprise grade. So we launched Arduino Pro, higher temperature ranges, security, everything has crypto and security built in by default. So we did all the enterprise grade features, number one. And number two, the application firmware or, the libraries that we do, we have close to 9,000 libraries today, but not all of them are enterprise grade. So we created a team focused on enterprise application libraries so that, when you use the software, you're sure it does well. So that's what we did. We literally used the Ferrari testing as an example and said, oh my God, if Ferrari's testing with Arduino, we need to make it enterprise ready. Right?
I saw a photo of an Arduino solution in a farming application, like out in the middle of, and it's like in dirt and yet it's doing what it needs to do and delivering whatever information that is necessary.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Smart Ag is big. Smart Ag is tractors, cornfields,
yes,
farms. And think of why they do it is because there's not enough talent, out there to go hire expensive engineers. So what we're hoping to do is really democratize talent. And as you know, US.
That's awesome. That's a way. That is so true because in our offline conversation, listener, I was just saying, hey, I'm a manufacturer. I'm giving this use case of I'm a manufacturer, and I go out online, and the World Wide Web is telling me that data collection is everything that makes my business more efficient, more resilient, more insightful, and so my operations will be better, and bottom line value, blah blah blah, all out there on the World Wide Web. But for me, if I'm the manufacturer, it's like, what's step one? And it's always gets down to the person, the company, and the trust. And so take me through this use case. So I'm a manufacturer, and I just contact Arduino. Hey, help me. Does that work?
You're absolutely right. That works. And today, I would say the tagline we live by at Arduino: speed is king. The first mover advantage can sink or sail a company. It's that simple, right? And if you're a manufacturer who's trying to launch a connected product, you need to be fast, right? You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be fast to get to market is our mantra. And you don't need to spend 24 months and $1 million in NRE trying to do chip down design. We feel chip down design for less than 10,000 or 100,000 units, and I'm going to make a big statement, should be dead. Should make no sense, right? So what we do a system on module approach. We give you a modular board. We give you the tool chains. We give you the software. We want you to launch the prototype in less than 24 days. So, tagline is 24 months to 24 days. And you do not need to pay gazillions of dollars in NRE. We will give you the board, and there's a community of 36 million developers, including your closest, university. If you're in Arizona State University, all the way to Georgia Tech, there are kids coming out of smart kids with computer science and electronics background who can help you, right? Get there, get to the first prototype. Now, it's not fully commercially ready and all that good stuff, but we would highly recommend that the manufacturers think of speed step one. And for that reason, we created our flagship product line for PLCs. It's called Opta. And the PLCs are Siemens and Rockwell. I hope they run for their money. Again, in the very micro and nano space, not in the high-end, technology space. But if you want a quick conveyor belt use case to count product, you can use us. You can get started in less than a $150 device, fully ready to go with the Arduino approach, which hopefully most engineers know. 40% engineers use Arduino today, Scott, in the world. I don't know if you know this. 40% engineers know how to use Arduino.
You're dropping some truth bombs. I mean, 40%. that I don't even know how much that is, but 40% is a huge number. But what I like hearing is the fact that I can take using that analogy of a manufacturing the line, whatever it might be, and be able to, I know what's going on in my, I know what challenges I have in my operation. And I can, without investing a gazillion dollars, begin to tackle those challenges because Arduino has a solution that can help me move that ball forward, to use a sports analogy, move that ball forward and begin.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Scott. And I think taking that one step forward, I love this approach, by the way. Devices and device hardware to get data is really hard, but it's only the first step because you need to then do the firmware. You do need to do the software libraries. You need to do the cloud. You need to have all the tool chains. By the way, all the tool chains need to align with machine learning and artificial intelligence and need to be secure, right? So they need to be super, super secure because this is mission critical data. You don't want your manufacturing bottling plant information or your oil and gas well information going to some random hacker. So if you put all of this together, it's pretty hard, right? Just the device hardware takes some people 8 to 9 months, which we want to do in, hopefully less than a month. But we're a software company, right? So what we've done is we've abstracted the hardware with our IDE. And by the way, the IDE is free. That's why we have such a big following.
For clarification, what does IDE stand for?
Good question. So it's the libraries and the development environment. So it's called the integrated development environment.
Good.
It's the software that you would use either in the cloud or on premise to get the hardware ready to send data. So it's like that core software that you use. That's what we call the IDE. So the IDE is free, right, today for anybody to use. And I think that's what we think is the real secret sauce that Arduino developed, because that allows you to use any hardware that you want, any machine that you want, and very quickly connect to the cloud. Of course, we give some hardware. We give some hardware which is ready to go, but you don't have to use our hardware. You can use any hardware, right?
The library itself, do you continue to add to it?
We do. That's a really good question, Scott. So like I said, we do, but also the community does, right? So the 30 plus million developers. So today, if I count correct, I'm looking up my screen, 8,200 libraries. So we have 8,200 libraries, anything from connecting a device to Alexa to low battery power, just a library to put something in low power, a library to connect to AWS, a library to connect to Microsoft Cloud, a library to do smart parking. Like there's a bunch of libraries out there, and there's about 8,200 libraries today out there.
And as an engineer, all I have to do is access that information, get the device that I have chosen, whatever it might be. Boom, I'm able to get up and running and begin collecting data.
It's all on GitHub. It's literally open source. We were born with the whole concept of open source as a company. Yeah. Everything is open source, GitHub. Of course, there are certain libraries which we certify, which you might have to license, like the PLC stuff I talked about, because, we want to make sure that's enterprise grade and secure. But 95% plus libraries are completely open, available out there. Some of the libraries, we just have to license them to make sure that they're enterprise grade. But yeah, they're all out there. Almost all of them are out there.
So I'm interested. So I want this journey to begin. I contact Arduino. Arduino says, hey, thank you very much for contacting me. Tell me what your situation is. Well, we got this, that, and the other thing. This is our manufacturing process. And we want to begin that digital transformation journey, and we need to start it. Does Arduino internally begin helping that customer say, okay, you have some engineers down here, you got this. Do you help paint that picture?
Really good question. So yes, we've set up an enterprise team now, or Arduino Pro team, including in the US. So we have 2 offices, Chicago and Austin, where we have solution architects, as well as customer experience and customer service folks. Same with all over Europe, Italy, Germany, UK, where we do exactly what you said. And we have 2 approaches. The first approach is what we call industrial automation, where we have finished products. It's a PLC, a programmable logic control, or a machine controller, which has ready to install. A technician could put it in and get ready tomorrow for energy management, for machinery monitoring, for condition monitoring, predictive maintenance. So that's one approach, which is a little faster, ready to go. And it's a solution place that automatically connects to the cloud. Like it's literally the first PLC, which is Wi-Fi, totally connects to the cloud, any cloud, AWS, Arduino, doesn't matter. That's one approach. The second approach is what we call system on modules, or approach where we have modular electronics, which smart sensing all the way from environmental monitoring to motion sensing to vision and distance, which you can embed into an electronic box. So it's a little bit more work to do, but it's more customizable. But also that is a solution approach, because by default, all of them are connected. All of them are either BLE, Bluetooth low power, or Wi-Fi, and in some cases, Ethernet. So all electronics you get is by default connected. And the goal is within minutes to have that connected to the cloud or connected to your laptop if you don't want the cloud, and ready to go.
Okay, so I'm connected. I'm pulling data. How is that data displayed? How do I begin mining? How do I begin pulling out the nuggets of insights from the data? I can get it. I got it. It's all connected. Is Arduino somewhat agnostic when it comes to whatever the tool is for displaying it, that dashboard, whatever it might be?
Yeah, really good question. So I think the interesting thing with Arduino is all the Arduino Pro products come with really powerful microcontrollers and microprocessors. And the reason I go a little geeky for a minute is, one, it allows you to run that libraries we talked about to connect to any cloud or any way to display data. A lot of reliability folks love having data available in Power BI dashboards or having them local, not to the cloud. We love working with reliability because I think that's we think it's not Internet of Things. We think it's Internet of legacy things and old things, where reliability guys really like, who cares about new stuff? There's like millions of old stuff like there, right? So absolutely. So one, we can do that connect to any kind of display. The other thing which is really cool is because it's powerful, Cortex M7, M4s, we've seen a lot of edge AI use cases where you never connect to the cloud, but you run the algorithm all the way in that chip. We've seen counting, we've seen anomaly detection, we've seen vision happen. We have a lot of manufacturing plants putting little sensors in the robotic arms, and they don't even connect to the cloud. They don't want to. But, they do it in the test lab, but then they run that algorithm all the way on the device. So we see all of that. We see any, Power BI, AWS, Azure, IoT cloud, our own cloud, or we see local desktops and laptops, or in some cases, we just see edge AI, which just runs locally without talking.
So what I hear you saying is that that's not an issue. You'll be able to, no matter what the application is, be able to see that data, analyze the data according to your methodologies or whatever it might be, but you're able to sort of see it and do it and be able to extract that insights.
Exactly, Scott. Now, of course, that may not be exactly what you need for the production device for, forever, but we can get you started with, we say 80 to 90% of the functionality available, connectivity available, any cloud, like you said. And then, you can take your time if you want to customize it. We, of course, have professional services, or we have a ton of system integrator partners everywhere that can come in and help you customize this.
That's key. And I could say, hey, I'm here in Austin and I'm looking for somebody to sort of work with because I'm passionate about my Arduino Pro setup. I just need a little, hand holding here.
Exactly. So if you're in Austin, I'll connect you with a gentleman in Dojo 5. It's a small company right here, system integrator. If you're in Chicago, I'll connect you with the largest Siemens integrator, DMC. We've trained DMC on all Arduino stuff. They can help you deploy, they can help you customize, they can help you, change hardware, battery operate, like all the fun stuff, right? But the good news is you can show your bosses and you can show a real old machine connected sending data in days, not weeks and months, and with very little investment. You buy a couple $100 device, maybe you spend $1,000 on an engineer, and you're there. right? You don't need to spend gazillions and spend months trying to do that, right? That's
exciting.
It's fun.
Yes. Because you know as well as I do, many of the manufacturers out there, yeah, that's fine. What's it going to cost me? What's it going to impact me? What kind of problems am I going to have to deal with because I decided that I needed to go on this journey to collect the data? It's automatic. They're going to go down the road of like, whatever, yeah. But this seems to solve the risk of killing you cost wise because you're already down the road. You're all committed, but the risk of cost, the risk or the removal of the risk of an unproven solution because Arduino Pro's been out there, done that. The risk of people, the human component to that, because now you got a bunch of people who have been living with Arduino forever. So you really address all elements of what I'm concerned with is just getting it done, and those would be the risks that I would consider. Where do you, Guneet, where do you see it going? What's that vision, that future vision?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the vision for us has always been our whole vision is democratizing technology and what we call creating citizen technologists. So what we do want to do is make getting data from devices and doing electronics super easy and super simple, right? Of course, what that means is we will build a large community of folks, and a lot of them will buy our hardware, a lot of them will buy our software. So there is some vision of enabling enterprises to quickly get to the business outcome that they're looking for. Be it a connected product, be it an as-a-service product line, which a lot of people want to do. Trumpf laser cutters, the poster child of laser cutting from Germany, doesn't sell laser cutters anymore. They sell cutting as a service, right? They want to do.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So we want to do that. We want to enable any business outcome you have. Yeah. But what we'll do is make it super simple, democratize all of that. And the last part I'll say, which is super important to us, we do not want to create a vendor lock-in. So, we've always been Switzerland.
Yes.
A lot of the larger vendors don't like that. But, to your approach, what is the risk? Because even if you don't like the Arduino hardware, we're open source, or at least open schematics. You get a license from us, take everything and build it your own, or go to Siemens. We don't care. But at least we got you there. We got you started, to kind of. So I think our vision is we will never lock you in. We're vendor neutral and always want to be vendor neutral.
Oh, I'm all giddy. I'm ready to go. I don't even have a manufacturing line, and I feel like I need to go purchase and get involved in this journey of acquiring some Arduino products. By the way, I don't have any.
I'll send you some.
I need some because I don't have anything here. I have this vibration thing right there.
I'll send you a care package, and you can send me a care package back from New Orleans. How about that? I'll send you all the Arduino stuff.
Do you want food?
Sure.
Why would you want food? I need food here. Here's some sausage. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. How do people get a hold of you there, Guneet?
Great question. Of course, Arduino.cc. So it's not Arduino.com. So Arduino.cc, a website. My personal, email or LinkedIn, Guneet Bedi, and my email is g.bedi for g. last name at Arduino.cc. But just go to Arduino.cc. There's a pro line there. Find out, talk to us. We'd love to help you. We just expanded in the US. So just to let everybody know, we have a large team in Austin and Chicago that we're setting up. And we're also looking for good talent, good marketing folks, good sales folks, good solution architects, as well as reach out if we can help you. We'd love to help you in the manufacturing floor.
Telling you, man, I'm all excited for you guys, man. This is exciting times. I like it. I like the democratization of anything.
I agree.
I love it.
I'm all for it. Scott, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. We're going to have all the contact information for Guneet and Arduino Pro out on Industrial Talk. So fear not, reach out. It's a must. That's your call to action. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Now that's a wrap. That's Guneet Bedi. Arduino is the company. Look for the Arduino Pro. Go out to arduino.cc. Right there, boom. Find the Pro Series and make it happen. Access this information. It's all there. Open source. In your budget, without a doubt. I know it's in your budget. And then you can be part of the digital transformation juggernaut that exists out there. Data's it. And it's going to happen. And you don't want your competition to have the data and you don't, because it's important. There, I said it. IndustrialTalk.com. Go out there. Find out, root around, listen to some of the podcasts, listen to some of the videos, listen to some of the webcasts that we had out there. Continue to learn. Continue to collaborate. Continue to innovate, because it's happening. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Guneet, and you will change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.